It's there! Holy moly, this one's going to go big.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Right, here's one you might not have seen before. This is a machine called Real Deal by Empire. Apparently Empire made it into the £70 era. Who knew? I didn't know that Empire was still going in the £70 era. Apparently this is the next to last machine that they made before they were bought out by Astra and ceased to exist as an independent company after a run of some 20 years. Now, that is not trivia that I knew, by the way. I will defer to a guy called Steve Dude over there at Desert Island Fruits. You can see here, this post is more than 2 years old. This machine, this layout, this release may well have passed you by. It did me, to be honest. I haven't really played this machine, or this layout rather, until the last few days at all. It was just kind of lost in all the other releases, all the other things going on. It's a fairly low profile classic release by Reg over at Desert Island Fruits. And what we're going to do is demonstrate how you can empty this machine to a point and with a little bit of a caveat. But you can see here that Steve Dude here is giving us the information that it was the next, there you are, one of the last feature games Empire did before being bought by Astra. Now, there was some speculation on this original thread, which, as I say, passed me by at the time, that this machine may indeed be emptiable, or certainly that you could mess with it. Reg there showing how you can cheat to have a look at what's in your box, and also guy called Dugster having a play around with it there, who manages to get it running over percentage. Gotta be honest, I didn't see this at the time. However, what happened is a few days ago, someone private messaged me over at Desert Island Fruits mentioning this machine, mentioning Real Deal, and he apparently had been doing the same thing with it. I think he'd kind of been playing around with it by himself. He may well not be aware of this thread as well. Someone who's been around for a long time, by the way. He said he was back on Fruit forums in the day. He's using a new alias now, and he hasn't mentioned who he used to be on Fruit forums, so clearly he's keeping incognito, but also he's clearly been around for a long time, if you were around on Fruit forums back in the day. So what I'm going to do here is basically what a couple of people were talking about in this thread, and also what that guy who PM'd me about it were talking about as well. And by all accounts, it looks to me that this machine in the wild would be genuinely emptiable if you could do what we're going to do in this video here, which is see what is in your box. Now, just to say up front, this does not work the way it looks like. If you're looking at this machine, you're just going to think it's some kind of double DOND clone, or some kind of spin on the double DOND formula, but it really isn't, because the way this machine works is quite unusual. And I think the best way to demonstrate that is first and foremost to play it normally. So the layout that I've got on the left here is how it was released by Reg. The layout on the right here is the one that I mucked about with, so we can always see what's in our box. But that by in and of itself, the fact that you can always see what's in your box, shouldn't make an emptier. Now, we've covered this in a couple of videos on the channel before. That I first speculated about this back in April 2018, and what I did here was took the crisscross cash DX by Ploggy. Now, if you remember, the fair play high-low reel that Ace played around with in the £6 jackpot days, whereby it had the same concept of a mirrored reel, and theoretically you could gamble any win, even a £1 cherry win, all the way up to the £3 repeater every single time, if you could guess correctly what was behind the reel, or what was in your box, I suppose, in the modern parlance. So what we did in that video was we removed the mirror from the reel and saw if we could always gamble every single win up to a £3 repeater, would it be an emptier? And the answer to that was no, it wasn't. Because what the machine eventually did was just started costing £4 or £5 for even a cherry win. It compensated what it was doing, it knew what was going on, and it would simply, in simple terms, it would just start costing you more than £3 for a win. So even though you could gamble every win up to a £3 repeater, it would cost more than £3 for a win, and it would never repeat. Also tried the same thing here with DOND Deal Wheel, where I revealed the wheel, And then we saw, can we empty DOND deal wheel if we can always take out any deal game to a jackpot, because it cannot make all 3 of those points a bankrupt. So there's always a correct answer. And the answer to that was no, it wasn't an empty either, because what that started doing was simply costing more than 70 quid to open the wheel. So even though in that configuration there, and if you could mimic that on a real machine, somehow see what was behind the reel, you could always take out a £70 jackpot. That didn't work either, because it just started wanting 75, 80, 85 quid, as I found out over the course of quite a long video there, and that 1 hour 11 minutes was with a lot of stuff chopped out as well. Turns out it wasn't an empty, because it would just start costing more than 70 quid to open the game. Real Deal, however, behaves slightly differently. First of all, on a normal DOND, of course, you've always got the value of what it puts in the box. So it can just put £20 in the box or £15 in the box or whatever. So between the offers and what's in the box, it's not like any DOND game can be a jackpot potential, because your offer's never going to be more than maybe 20 quid or whatever. And it might well be £15 in the box, or £10 in the box, or a £5 in the box or whatever. Real Deal is really quite different. So if you're not aware how this game works, because I wasn't until I loaded it up after I got that private message. So what we're going to do here is play it normally. We're going to put it on £1 to go, because that way, when we just get the 3 suitcases in view, we are guaranteed to get the DOND game. That will just save us having to open up the DOND game, because on 25p or 50p ago, you've actually got to get the suitcases on the line to open the game. So we're going to go in on £1 to go, just to make it a little bit quicker, and because it means that when we do get the suitcases, we are going to get the game. It shouldn't cost us too much, because this machine has been playing normally. I'll show you a picture of the machine, by the way, because you may well have never seen this. So once I've finished with this here, I will actually show. We've got a couple of pictures of the real machine, just so that you can get in your head what it actually looks like for real. 3 holes, any chance of putting us in? No, there is not. Can be a little bit. So this is what? This is going to be nearly 20 quid, isn't it? So we've got a cherry win. Now, the thing with the cherry win, of course, is that that's not actually going to open up the game. But we'll see if we can get it open going around the board. No lose, that'll be handy, I suppose, if we can land on a shortcut. You've got the standard cut. Well, that's a no lose. So let's go. No, mate. Oh, not really fancying. Shall we have a go? No, it wasn't having that, was it? Wasn't. Let's put another £5 in. So that's 20 quid in already, and this is a machine that we've not been mucking about with either. I'll show you what the one that's been, because that one on the right there, I've been mucking about with quite a bit, so it's already in, well, just for the sake of argument, the one on the right there is already in quite a bad mood, as you will see when we start playing it. Let's just see if we can get the game open naturally. 3 nudges we can get. Is there a suitcase? Where's the closest suitcase? Fucking hell. Oh, on the middle reel is the closest. Well, we could... There we are. So we've got 2. We need 1 more suitcase to open up the game. Any chance of that? Extra feature, we don't really care. It's looking a bit like a... Oh, there we are! There we are. So now we have opened up the Real Deal. So you'd think... anyone looking at this machine who didn't know better would think, well, it's just a DOND game, isn't it? It really isn't. So let's watch this. So let's play the game. There we are. It spins them. So there you are. You don't get an offer per se. It just says take it or leave it. Now, the point is here that can be anything from £1 to £70. So let's do, you've got no idea, there's no fucking way of knowing what's behind this. Let's say leave. That was 9 quid. Now this thing does not cheat you, by the way. It absolutely does not cheat you. That could be 70 quid behind there. It was £2, so it's just a guessing game, really. But a little bit light, to be honest with you, the Real Deal on that. Oh, 20 quid that time. And the idea is that if you can guess right, you can get 70 quid, but you've got absolutely... I mean, obviously, those values are gone now. We know that it can't be the values that have been knocked out. So we've got a what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 11 left there. We've got a 1 in 11 chance of that being 70 quid. It's not a bad game. And the thing that you may have already worked out here is that this game always offers you 70 quid. It's not like you get 5 picks or 10 picks and then you get what's in your box. You can literally take it or leave it all the way down to the very last box. So, not sure have a... Oh, so you can see now, 1 in 7, there's 70 quid behind there. Shall we leave it again? Oh, 3 quid! So there's 1 in 6 now. So you could just have a punt. If I say take it, and there's 70 quid behind there, Oh, 11 quid! Fucking hell. Oh, when does your bottle go? So... Oh, there's the 35! What do you reckon? I'm going to leave it again, and then I'll take it. 7 quid. Right, 1 in 3 for... I'm going to take it on that one. Yes! I guessed! Well, there you are. That is playing the game properly. That is playing the game properly, and you can see there that I got, just purely by spawn. I mean, okay, I know I was down to a 1 in 3 on the last one. So you can see how it works there. Straight away, you can see how is that is massively different to a normal deal or no deal game. And fundamentally, every single time you open up the game, there will be a genuine £70 offer. So anytime you get the game, there is £70 up for grabs. But you can see the problem with that. I just guessed. I got lucky on my guesses there. And I managed to guess on the 70 quid. So what we'll do, because I can't believe I'm going to replicate that. So I'm going to get the game open again and we'll play it again normally. Well, literally just within a few quid, it's, to my great surprise, it's given us a 3 holds on the win line there. So this actually works quite differently now. I've got to be honest with you, I'm not too well versed on... So let's do it on the double. Now, it does work similarly to, I think, I'm not sure in fact. So if we take it, awards highest win. So if there's £70 in either of them, we get... Oh no, I would have got 70 quid on the very first one. I would have got 70 quid. If I'd have pressed take it then, I would have got... Now, I believe it is different to a... I believe that... So obviously on a double DOND, it can't put 70 quid. That means that it's not £70 in your box. But here, there's still... I think we can still get 70 quid off the other side. We can still get 70... Let's just see if I can repeat it. Oh... It can still put £70 in on the right-hand side here. 9 quid. We're down to 6. What do you reckon? Awards highest win. Oh, no, I should have gone. I was going to press it. Oh, I fucked myself there now, haven't I? Awards highest. You see there? Right, okay. So on the double game... I could have had another 70 quid there. So you see the problem with it, even though it's quite exciting, in that there is always 70 quid up for grabs. You are literally just playing a guessing game. And with so many boxes, how many boxes are there? Is it 4? There's 16 boxes. So yes, of course, as it knocks the boxes out, that you're down, oh, well, it's a 1 in 5 or whatever. But you can see the problem there, that with no idea what's in your box, you are basically just going blind. So on the right-hand side, that's just the reason I've done all that there is just to show you how this game works, because I think the presumption would be it's just some kind of double DOND game, and it really isn't. You can see that there. Every DOND game on this, or every deal game on this, jackpot potential, no doubt about it, it doesn't cheat you. So let's have a look at this one on the right-hand side here. Now, what I've done here is fucked about with the reels so that we can see what is in our box at all time. And a little bit of a fast forward here. Look at the long-term meters on this. It's had 544 quid in. It's paid out £806. It's running at 148%. And it's £349 behind. And what it seems to me on this, because I've put a fair chunk of cash through this, as you can see, by all accounts, this machine does not protect the game. Even when it is way behind percentage, it does not start wanting £70 or more for the game. On a pound to go, it will give you a 3 suitcase entry, which is a jackpot if you can see what's in your box. Now, this is already way over percentage. So let's go to our current session stats and pick up where we are. So let's just start off with 20 quid. I have seen it's a little bit of a weird one. Sometimes it'll seem to want 40, 50, 60 quid for a board, and you think it's just stopped boarding, it's not doing it anymore. But then all of a sudden it'll give you like 2 boards within the space of maybe 40 quid, and you'll take 140 quid out of them, something like that. Sometimes it will just drop a board in, and we may see it do that. We may actually just see it drop in cherries or mixed sevens, and what we'll almost certainly find ourselves on is a £2 block board at that point. So it's really weird. It's like it knows that it's behind percentage. It knows that it's really far behind percentage, to the extent that any kind of normal board will be almost certainly be a £2 block board. I hope it kind of gives us a shot at a normal board. I'll demonstrate that to you. So it's like it knows where it's at, but for some reason the code just doesn't completely block the game. It's almost like the machine is operating on the principle that it feels safe about offering a game, because it assumes that the player is just going to have to play a straightforward guessing game as it's intended to be, so that there's no risk of a player continuously taking £70 jackpots out of it, and therefore I should have held the 2 reels there, doesn't matter. So this might be one of the expensive ones. We're 30 quid in so far. But there we are. There's a board. Now, just to give you stats, remember the stats. This is a machine that's running at 140% at the moment, and it's just given us a board. Now, remember, we're on a pound to go, so we can now play the real deal feature. We don't need to go around the board. And now we've got something of an advantage, because we can see what's in our box. So it started us with a quid. Second offer 20 quid, and as you can see, this rather takes the fuss out of it. But we know it's going to offer us 70 quid. It has to offer us 70 quid. That is the nature of this game. I mean, there are lots of ways they could make this freaky. An obvious one would be you get 5 picks maximum, or even 10 picks maximum, something like that. And it could make sure that it could protect the jackpot. But with the game as this is configured, if you've got the board, you've got a jackpot. It's as if you know what's... Oh, God, it's leaving this one till... Oh, there it is. With 3 to go, we've got the jackpot.
You're a winner! Jackpot!
Yeah, this never, ever repeats, as you can well imagine. So let's collect our £70 out. Like so. Okay. So we'd put 2 in. You know what? There is a shortcut to reset. So that'll be 20 quid there. So that's £20 for a machine that's already wildly over percentage. Let's see how much it wants for the next board. There is a shortcut. Wizard put a shortcut in here to reset your short-term meters, and I'm fucked if I can remember what it is. It would be really nice if there was like a little crib sheet or a little help screen that's just lists some of the most useful kind of shortcuts, because I know he's put loads and loads of really handy little shortcuts in there, some of which I can remember from time to time and some of which I can't. And the resetting your short-term meters, I'm afraid to say, is one that has eluded me, so we'll just do it the old-fashioned way and count up in our heads. So that is £20 from a jackpot board on a machine that's way over percentage already, remember. So let's go 30 in. There we are. So that's £30. But remember, we're not starting from a machine that's kind of at level pegging here. We're starting from a machine that's already way over percentage. But what I'll be covering in a moment, the kicker on this, is that unlike Belfruit, of course, who famously made their DOND games, they made the boxes readable because of the sort of consistent imperfections and sort of nibs and joins on the reel. So that what could happen there is good players could effectively read their boxes. I have covered this before. That was that 30? I think that was 30, wasn't it? Empire, as I shall talk about in a moment, made their boxes unreadable. You couldn't read the box on this, which is why perhaps... Oh, there we are. Now you're going to see a £2 blocking board here, I suspect. Let's see what it wants to do. Well, that's probably more than £2, isn't it? But let's just see. Oh, well, yeah, it's not going to let me have that. Oh, dear. Well, that gives you an idea. You can see what kind of... That was maybe a £3 board. So that is £40 in now, isn't it, since the last jackpot? It does sometimes cost a bit. You will see it cost 40, 50 quid sometimes, but I have not once had it want more than... I don't think I've actually had it want more than 60 quid for a board. So that's 50 quid now, I think, isn't it? There we are. So that's 50 quid since the last jackpot. This is one of the pricier ones. What you'll generally find is that if it does you a cheap one... Is there a suitcase up there? I should have checked really there, shouldn't we? Shouldn't I, rather? So I think that's 50 now since the last jackpot. You'll generally find... we can't slow that one down. Again, I was being a bit lazy there. Didn't check if there was a suitcase up there. So that's 50. Okay, let's go for 55. See if we can get it on this block. No, so that's going to take us up to 60. This is certainly one of the more expensive ones. Okay, so there's 60. Is it going to put us in? If it goes past 70, it will be the first time I've seen it do it. 60. Okay, there's 65. There we go. Ooh, come on then. 65. What we'll probably find is we'll get a relatively cheap one. I should have held that suitcase then. Okay, so there is 70. There we are. So it has actually gone in just before 70 because we got £4 of credits, haven't we? I think that's actually the most expensive one I've had because that was perilously close to being over 70 quid. So let's do our leaves here. No. There it is. There's the 70. So that was expensive. That was like 66 quid, wasn't it, I think? What I suspect now is that the next one will probably be a little bit cheaper. Yeah, so we've got £4 of credits. So that's 4 in. So what I'm going to do now is collect that 70 bank out. And let's just see how much it wants for the next one. And obviously this is going to push the machine even further over percentage now. So let's collect that out. There we go. So there we are. So if we put 14 back in, that's then 20, isn't it? Because we had some credits left in there. So let's just see how much it wants for the next one. So that's 2 jackpots we've had up to now, both of which have cost less than 70 quid, and both of which have been on a machine that's already way, way, way over percentage. The guy who PM'd me about this, by the way, found the same thing. He kept going with it for quite some time, and he found that it sometimes looks like it stopped boarding and then it'll throw a couple in next to each other, which is what I found. I say next to each other in fairly close succession, and you'll carry on your sort of upward path. So that's 20. Let's go forward to 30. I'll do it one more time, and then I think taken with the long-term stats as well that we've got, I think that will make it fairly obvious. If I can get a board by normal means, we can enjoy ourselves a £2 blocking board. Oh, and there you are, see? That was that on the way to 30 quid? I think that was on the way to 30 quid, wasn't it? So I did say that I think that the next one will be cheaper, and indeed it was. And, well, we know the story now. We can't fail to be offered a £70 pot. There it is again, another 70 quid. So that is another. I don't think we really need to bother with the repeat chance, do we? So let's have a look at our per session stats and see where we're up to. Then we'll have a look at our long-term stats and see where we're up to as well. So we'll collect that 70 quid out. Well, there we are. So that's the bank collected out. The numbers don't really lie. £210 out for £122 in. On those 3 jackpots, we've made a profit of 88 quid. But look at the long-term stats now. You can see here it's drifted further in our favour. It's now paying out a 152.55%. We, the player, have made a net profit of 350 quid. The machine itself now, you can see the drift, because you remember you've got to take off the percentage. This is set to 84%. This machine is now £456 down on where it needs to be. What I'm going to do is see how much. I won't bore you with the gameplay. I'll do one more to see how much it wants for the next board. Well, it has just dropped cherries in. Shall we see what an actual board does, just for a laugh? Let's just see what this board was. With £20 back in, and it's just dropped a board in. We're not going to win on an 8, are we? Jesus. 2 4, so that's 3 quid. We're on a £3 board at the moment. Oh, I think that's going to be it. So there we are. So we're on £3 block boards. I'll bring you back when we actually get the game. And there we are. I think that was, you know what, I've lost track. That was 50 off. I'm trying to keep track in my head. It was either 50 or 55. So again, oh, sorry, we just need to play the game. So that was one of the more expensive ones, of course. But once again, with £35 first box, it just never seems to cost more than 70 quid. You've seen the drift at this thing, so we've won a little bit on that one. Experience teaches me that the next one will actually cost less than that. But even again, we're still going to make a small amount of profit on this board because we cannot fail to get a jackpot. So we know that there's going to be a £70 offer in here. We cannot fail. We'll leave that one. It's actually quite, when you don't know what's in the box, it's actually quite an exciting game when you get down to these last few. Oh, there's the 70, so we'll have the 70. And I guess if you were being flash, you'd leave it, like some smart asses used to do on the flickers, you'd actually leave it on the repeat chance. Because, you know, it's never, ever, ever, ever going to repeat. So that's made it even worse now. So you can see there, short term, it's at 158%. We're still over 150%. Long term, it now needs to claw back 480 quid to get to percentage. I think it's safe to say that would never, ever happen. Now, the one thing, because, I mean, it seems to me, my thought about this was that that's pretty dangerous, isn't it? Having a machine where the feature is always a jackpot. you know, players being what they are, some of them, they're clever buggers, some of them, with, you know, box reading and all that kind of thing, having a feature that is essentially a guaranteed jackpot with a little bit of friggery like that sounds very dangerous to me. However, it was once again Steve Dude who provided this piece of information that shows how it wasn't actually doable in its default configuration. You can see what he's saying there. There was a mirror silk screen on the glass where the real aperture was, so you couldn't actually see through the window to the real. Otherwise, yes, it wouldn't be very difficult to get the jackpot every time. So, of course, that's the big difference. The thing on the DONDs, on the actual proper DONDs, the Bellfruit DONDs, was you could see through to the real. And that meant that you could see the imperfections and the joins and all that sort of thing. So if you learned your boxes, if you learned your reel, you could see what was in your box. Even I managed to do it most of the way with a desert island deal that was on site in a pub here for quite a while. And I got to the point where I could read a good number of the boxes on that. And needless to say, if you got a good idea what's in your box, even some of the time, that puts you in a much better position. However, what Empire did with this, according to Steve Dude over at Desert Island Fruits there, is they actually had a physical barrier that came down across the box. In fact, let's have a look at the machine itself. There it is on a £70 jackpot, and there it is on an £8 jackpot. In fact, you can actually see a little bit better on that one. So basically what he's saying is there was an actual completely opaque screen that came down across the front of those boxes there, so you couldn't see through to the reel. So I guess that's why it doesn't protect the game as you perhaps might expect it to, because Empire, by all accounts, were completely confident that the game was not cheatable and that you would never be able to see what the actual offer was. That still, again, seems slightly brave to me, because what if the bloody thing malfunctioned? I'm sure we've all seen fucking real faults and all kinds of things go wrong on fruit machines over the years. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe the machine had a pretty good error trapping on it, so it knew if that little screen thing wasn't working properly. But in essence, and I think we've demonstrated it there in the emulator, is that if you can see or if you can work out what is in your box on this thing, you have got an emptiable machine, because it will always offer you the game for less than 70 quid, sometimes quite substantially less than 70 quid, even when it is way, way, way over percentage and it really needs to start clawing some money back. So a little bit of a curiosity more than anything. If there's any of these out there on a £70 jackpot still, I would be very surprised. And if they're working properly, if that silk screen is working properly, it doesn't matter anyway, because you need to be able to consistently know what is in your box to be able to do that. But you can see the results if you can. We've got a machine here that's paid out £1,086. It's taken £721 and it's £480 adrift now to get back to its 84%, and that is doable to this if you can see what is in your box. So there you go, just a little bit of a curiosity more than anything. It was and thank you to the chap who PM'd me about it, and obviously there were people talking about this on the thread when this machine was released. Maybe one that you're not aware of. Feel free to have a play around with it yourself. Do remember, by the way, that you don't need to make the reel permanently visible, as I have there. One of the shortcuts that you can use is Shift-C, and that will show you what is in your box. So I think Wizard does say it here, by the way. Yes, you can use Shift-C to cheat, so you can do it that way. So if you're not comfortable modifying the layout, you can actually do it that way as well and see what's inside your box. So there you go, just a little bit of fun really for this one. Emptiable machine if you can see what's in your box. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll catch up with you next time. But for now, as ever, it is goodbye.